What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show with me, Sean Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today by JJ Wilson before his big fight with Archie Colgan in PFL Dubai on October 3rd. JJ, thank you very much for joining me today, sir. How are you?
Thank you for having me, man. I'm good. What about yourself?
I can't complain. No, I can't complain. I'm over here in Ireland and it's nice weather, so whenever we have nice weather here, we can't complain too much.
I like the accent, man.
I appreciate
I like the accent.
I like yours too. So we're two foreigners here to the American crew listening. So it's all good.
Definitely.
I was thinking you're about 5 weeks out from the fight at this stage. Is this the time in the camp that you love, or is this the bad time in the camp? Where are you with it now?
To be honest, I broke my jaw. This is going to be my first fight back from breaking my jaw. So, I just recently, about 3 weeks ago, started to get back into the training room. So, right now it's still, I'm enjoying it again because there wasn't to be honest, I haven't been out of camp basically my whole life. So actually, when I broke my jaw, I got a little bit of a break. So I haven't really ever had a break. So it's been good.
I was going to ask you about that. How did that happen? Was it in preparation for the last fight, or could you detail what exactly happened?
Yeah, so I was scheduled to fight Godzi. It was a week after I fought Mads Bernal. I was just we're doing jiu-jitsu. It was MMA grappling. I went for a heel hook, and the guy went to escape. And when he went to escape, he spun, and then he kind of his heel just caught my jaw, and it broke completely in two different places. So it broke here and here. So I had to get plates here and plates here. Very unfortunate, kind of freak accident,
Whenever I hear fighters talking about that, they always, detail it as being one of the worst injuries you can get, both physically, I suppose, and mentally as well. How did you find it? Was it a tough one to kind of come through over the last couple of months?
I think the hardest thing was the eating factor, because the hardest things for me is diet, make weight, not being able to eat the things that I want. So, being able not to eat was the worst part, being on kind of like a smoothie diet, that kind of sucked. But in terms of mentally, it wasn't too bad, but it definitely was painful. It was no joke for sure. It was definitely extremely painful.
How long were you off the solids for? How long did you have to eat smoothies and yogurts and things like that for?
About almost 6 weeks. So I was just under 6 weeks. Yeah, so it was just over a month. And then I got to the point where I was eating. I started mashing up beans and blending meat and trying to mix in all different types of things. But actually blended meat tastes disgusting.
I wouldn't
recommend that.
No. What's it like that first sparring session, Mac, or the first time you get popped in the jaw or something like that? What's that like?
I was a little concerning, the first week back was very concerning for me, if somebody was going for a choke, I was just tapping right away. I didn't even want to try and withstand it. I was also wary of getting hit, but it took about a week and then I was back to normal.
There's one question, and this is totally off topic as well, but I always wanted to ask someone from New Zealand and the Pacific Islands and places where rugby is a real hotbed. I always thought it was a great place to find MMA fighters, basically, and we've seen it obviously in the last 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, with obviously Adesanya and other people as well coming from that part of the world and yourself. Do you think in another 5 years, another 10 years, that New Zealand, the Pacific Islands, places even like South Africa and Australia, where there's a real rugby hotbed and has been for years, that they could actually produce MMA fighters? Because at the end of the day, that's kind of a combat sport as well. Do you think that's a possibility or a likelihood even?
Most definitely. I was born playing rugby, I was 5 years old. First thing they did is, when I was a kid, first thing they did is put a rugby ball in my hand, So I was 5 years old. I was playing two to three games a week. I'd play club, I'd play rugby union and league, and then I'd play for school as well. So I grew up playing rugby, and rugby makes you tough, extremely tough, you get into a lot of fights. especially on the rugby field. You know, somebody hits you a little too hard, you get a little emotional, start throwing some hands. You know, or you hit somebody too hard, they get a little emotional, and then it's all on. You know, so it breeds toughness in terms of skill. Now, like talking about New Zealand specifically, we always had a high level of kickboxers. You know, we have guys like Recep or Makan, legends that came out of uh, New Zealand for kickboxing back in the day, and now we've got very very high level boxers, and the striking aspect of New Zealand is very very high. And then you get the toughness that every boy from New Zealand play rugby, and their dream was to be in the All Blacks. You know what I mean? And so we got the toughness. Now you're starting to see some grappling come through, which is we're still a little bit behind as a country in New Zealand, but definitely once we start picking up that grappling to a high level, I think we're going to see a lot of Pacific Islanders will start to take over.
I have to ask, what position did you play? I feel like you're a scrum half. Yeah, what position did you play when you played rugby?
So when I was younger, I would play eight, and I'd play hooker.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I was a hooker, and then I was a number eight. But then when I got older, I was a little bit too small to be a forward anymore. So
Yeah.
so I changed to first five or winger.
I like that. The speed.
Yeah.
As a fellow who badly played prop a couple of times, I can hear me already.
But as a kid, I was a tough little kid, so I
Yeah.
was a forward. And then, when I started to hit high school, those forwards started to, they were like 40-year-old men, gray hair.
Yeah, beards.
Yeah, like 160 kilos. Hey, no way, I'm gonna contest with those guys. So I was in the back line.
Uh, Another thing, like we obviously in rugby all the time, the Maori spirit. Like, how big is that for you? Obviously, you carry it with you with your nickname and your walkout and everything like that. We see before the big rugby matches, we obviously see the haka and everything like that. How big for you is that? Is that a thing you carry with you into fights?
Yeah, it's a part of my identity. It's a part of who I am. I carry the Maori name. I carry my mom and my ancestors, my tupuna, are with me, and they guide me through battle. We're warriors, you know what I mean. Back in the day, we always fought for what we had, and I feel like that pana, that mana, that power lives on through me. So I feel like it's a part of who I am, and I don't really see it as a culture. I just see it as like that's me, it's my identity. So it gives me the strength, the focus, the ability to go out there and do what I go out there and do what I always do.
Obviously, you're over and training in America now in the ATT an awful lot. And I see it here, with the Irish fighters. It's a very big decision, I suppose, to move country and go, to maybe better training partners and everything like that. For you, how big was that decision to kind of move over to ATT? And are you there full time now?
Yeah, so I've been here full time at American Top Team now for about 2, 3 years. I actually made the move to America when I was very, very young. I was about 20 years old when I made the official move to America.
Okay.
I grew up very, very rough. I didn't have anything handed to me. I was a street kid growing up. Running around with the wrong crowd, doing things I shouldn't be doing. I was living on the street, and then I actually started training, and then I moved into the gym, and I just fell in love with the sport, and I just kept going from there. And I had the opportunity when I was 20 to move over to the United States, and I took it. So um, for me, it was like whatever I can do to improve myself to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, that's what I want to do, and my goal is always to be a world champion in mixed martial arts. So that's still my goal, and everything I do is something to make me one step closer to my goal.
Who are the main people you work with in ATT? I saw a few pictures you have with Ian Skamrat, and obviously over here in Europe, I've covered him for an awful long time, and a really great fighter. It must be great to have someone like him alongside you, training all the time.
Yeah. So whenever Gamrot's in town, he's one of my main training partners. He's helped me extensively throughout the camps. I've helped him extensively throughout the camps as well. Guys like Chris Duncan, Grant Dawson, Renato Moicano, Armin, I can't say his, I always mess up his last name.
Saryukin?
Yes, yes. Sorry.
Oh.
You know, we have a room full of killers, especially at lightweight. So it's definitely good to be with those guys that are in the top 10, you know, or uh, in the top of the lightweight division, and being able to train with them is definitely a blessing, you know.
I actually spoke to Archie yesterday, and speaking to you today, I've been watching both of your fights for the last couple of days, and to be honest, the main thing I have is excitement coming into this fight because I love the way both of you fight. When you watch Archie, what do you think? What do you think of him as a fighter?
He's very conservative. You know, he doesn't really like to take risk. You know, he backs up. Watched his fight against Mansour. He was very conservative, especially when it comes to the striking. And Mansour was actually getting the best of him in the striking. If Mansour didn't bend down and pick up his mouth guard in the second round, I don't know. That fight could have been a little bit different. But that was stupid. I don't know what the hell Mansour was doing. But he's a great grappler, great wrestler. Got a good right hand. Yeah, that's about it.
I asked him about, obviously, you know, he wrestles an awful lot in his fights, and you've been known to go for a takedown or two in your fights as well. I asked him about your wrestling, and he basically said, look, your wrestling wouldn't stand up to his wrestling. What do you think of that? Do you think you getting a takedown him is a possibility, which isn't often a possibility in his fights, granted, but do you think that's a possibility in this fight?
Man, I'm not a wrestler, you know. I'm a fighter. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna hurt him. He can take me down, and then you know I'm gonna snap his arm. I'm gonna choke him. I'm gonna cut him. A takedown is about this much of the whole game. What are you gonna do when we get to the ground? You know, so he can talk all he wants. What is takedown in this game? You took me down. Where's the damage? You take me down. Now you have to deal with my jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna choke you. I'm gonna break your arms. Gonna break your leg. Gonna elbow your head. If I get up, I'm gonna outstrike you. Like all he got is a takedown. So, and I honestly think I'm gonna take him down. So I don't really mind, you know.
Is that the approach in this fight, to just kind of win every single second of it? Or when a guy has obviously the ability that he has with the wrestling, does the approach have to be slightly different? Let's say from some of your previous fights, even like you know when you fought Mads Burnell or Mansour, as you just spoke about that he fought. Is the approach slightly different for him, or is it the same as always?
He was talking about my wrestling when um he struggled to take Mansour down. I took him down every round easily.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just surprising. Um, I noticed Americans are very confident in their wrestling. You know, so I'm excited to go out there, and I'm probably gonna put him down with my strikes or with takedowns. If he takes me down, I'm probably gonna submit him. So um, I'm not really concerned. My goal whenever I step in there is to win everywhere. I don't care where it is. I'm gonna be striking. I'm gonna be wrestling. I'm gonna be doing jiu-jitsu. You know.
Obviously, his last fight was called the number one contender fight, and he won that fight. And now he's fighting you on the same event where there's a title fight. Do you think you in this fight, you're the next guy in line for either Paul Hughes or Usman?
Yeah, man. I don't really care. You know, put anybody in front of me. I really want Alfie. You know, because I was meant to be in that tournament, so I want to prove that you know I would have beat Gaji, which I think is a way better wrestler than Archie, better competitor in general. And then I want to take on Alfie, prove that I was meant to win that title, and then take on Usman or Paul Hughes. Actually, they actually gave me Paul Hughes first, and then I guess that was a you know that's the fight I was offered. But then I guess Usman said that he was going to fight, so obviously they gave the fight to him. Um, so yeah,
That's it.
whoever can get it, you know, just write me the check, send me their name. There's a bout, even better.
That's interesting. Were you supposed to fight Paul Hughes on the October card coming up here, or a different card?
On this card, yes.
That's very, very interesting. Who do you think wins that
I
fight?
don't know, but that's the name they gave me. You know, they say you want to fight Paul Hughes October third. I say yeah, let's go.
Who do you think wins that fight, Paul Hughes or Usman? Obviously, the first fight was very, very close.
That's very, very close. But one thing about the Russians is they're very, very intelligent. They're gamers, right? They're very smart, and they know how to adapt. Like if you watch them in the first round to, and especially in a 5 round fight, you watch them in the first round and the third round, they're completely different fighters. They're very adaptable. And the thing about Usman, this is his second fight against him, and his corners are very, very smart. So he has experience against him already. So I don't think this fight is gonna be as close as it was the first fight. I think Usman's gonna be able to dominate him just a little bit more.
You're killing me here as an Irish guy. Come on, we're no bias here, but come on.
I always try to give my honest opinion.
I know, it's fair enough.
My friends, my friends are fighting, and I'm like, oh, they're fighting a guy that I like. I'm like, oh my god, this guy's gonna beat him, but I don't want to say it. Someone asks me, then I look bad. I'm like, fuck, the guy's my friend.
That's all right. Last question, JJ. I really appreciate the time. Someone tunes in to see that your fight on PFL Dubai. What are they going to see, and how are you going to win?
I'm gonna win by a finish. I'm gonna finish this guy, whether it's be on my feet or submission. I'm gonna make it an exciting fight. If he's gonna dive in and just hold on and pray to God and make it a boring fight, that's on him. But I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna finish him.
JJ, thank you very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Everybody tune in. JJ Wilson versus Archie Colgan. The same card as the really, really great fight between Paul Hughes, Usman and Magomedov. Caelan Loughran fight on that as well. And the light heavyweight title fight, an unbelievable card. JJ, thank you very much for joining me, and really best luck in that fight.
Thank you very much, man. You have a nice day.